Hi there, everyone. Welcome to today's virtual event. I'm Kat Delgadillo here to co-host or to host our event. We have some awesome speakers today. We have David Valentino from Austin Venture Association and also Nicole Bentz from S3VC. All right, David, do you want to go ahead and tell us a little bit about what you do for Austin Venture?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you, Kat, for inviting me to this session. This is really great. I'm looking forward to hearing a lot about the businesses that are on, and I'll be presenting their businesses. So excited about that. So I'm representing Austin Venture Association. I'm the managing director of the association. Just to give you a little background on it, it's been around for about 3 years. We've been working with a community of VCs, private equity, angels, just family offices, just a variety of different types of investors, where we're bringing together a community of the investors along with later stage and sometime earlier stage startups, and then service providers, the service providers that are in the community looking to help the startups, looking to help the businesses grow. And that community gets together in a variety of different ways, mostly through events that AVA sponsors, and also we sponsor with our partners. The partners that I'm referring to are Austin Technology Council, the Chamber of Commerce, some of the incubators and accelerators that are in town, Antlers, Plug and Play, people like that. So we partner up with a lot of organizations to support their efforts for building this community, and also working with them pretty closely in providing as much knowledge transfer and information as we can for the community. So that's what I'm doing as far as Austin Venture Association. I've also been in Austin for about 29 years, just a quick background. About 29 years, and early 2000s, I jumped into the startup community in Austin, started with Austin Ventures Labs, working with their labs group and incubating a variety of startups. And then over time, over the last 20 years or so, I've actually been in and out of 5 different startups. 3 of them we exited, and 2 of them we had to shut down early. So yes, that's my background. Looking forward to hearing more about the businesses here on the webinar today.
Okay, awesome. And we have Nicole from S3VC who is joining us also. It seems that she might be having some Zoom difficulties, so I'm going to go ahead and try to move her into the webinar now. Well, it doesn't seem to be working. So luckily, David Valentino is here to assist with any questions that he may have about any of the pitches that we'll be presenting. So let's start with Jeff from Angex. Jeff, we cannot hear you. You're muted at the moment.
There we go. How's that?
Sounds great.
Thanks. Thanks, Kat. I want to thank you again now that everyone can hear me. Appreciate everyone's taking some time out of their busy day to listen to some of these presentations. We're especially fortunate here at Angiex in terms of the company that I'm about to tell you about. So I'm the Chief Financial Officer of the company. Quick background, 25 years of investment banking, most of it with Goldman Sachs. 3 times CFO and 2 times entrepreneur, and looking forward to telling you about Angiex. So Angiex is a biotech company. We're clinical stage. We're raising $15 million. We have a term sheet in hand that we're bringing to the board for $10 million, and we're looking to have you folks join the $5 million and side by side with that $10 million. The issue here is that despite all the advances in solid tumors still remain very lethal. And that's because they've got the ability to grow blood vessels. They can evade the immune system, and they metastasize, as we all know, somebody who's been inflicted by a cancer. And what Angiex has set out to do over the past 22 years in a very stealth mode was to figure out all of those problems and put together a platform, starting with the product here, AGX 101, which addresses all of these issues with cancer. So I'm not able to, there we go, a little slow on the slide change. Anyway, so what's our vision and what's our value proposition? So those three elements of cancer, which I just told you, we've engineered a drug rationally to address all three of them. That is our approach through what's called an antibody drug conjugate, which is basically a homing device, a linker, and a nuclear and a payload, which in our case also goes into the nucleus. We have a very strong portfolio that has been generated by the company itself. 12 patent families, very deep moat, and a very high fence. We're in the clinic, so we're in humans. Right now, we've had 17 patients so far, and we're seeing really nice on-tumor effects and early signs of efficacy signaling, complemented by safety with minimal side effects in our phase 1 trial. You'll see later in a couple of slides from now our outstanding commercial potential given TM4SF1 is highly expressed in most solid tumors. Potential value creation, well, the entry point today is about 30 to 40 million, and a number of companies you'll see later when they inflect off of clinical proof of concept, they go into the billion-dollar range. So what is AGX 101, which is our product? I won't go through all the science, but this has been through Harvard and Beth Israel here in Boston, rationally designed over the last 22 years by a bunch of puzzle solvers and pioneers in the field of angiogenesis and oncology. Again, very stealth mode. That's why you'd not heard of it. Basic tenet, three mechanisms of action. First mechanism of action addresses the growth of blood vessels. Well, if we eliminate that growth, we starve and thirst the tumors, depriving it, and we can bring an average tumor to the size of a pinhead. But that's just one mechanism of action. This is a monotherapy approach. What I just told you in terms of the expression of TM4SF1, if you look at this is a depiction of expression in all solid tumors. You recognize a bunch of them here: thyroid, gastric, liver. The blue line is TM4SF1 on a logarithmic expression curve versus here we've got HER2 and TROP2, which have currently approved ADCs. Look at our expression across the board in solid tumors. So high hope. We've got to explore the product for each and every type of solid tumor, but we're pretty excited about the performance thus far. First indication which we're looking at from proof of concept. It's not the largest indication in the world. It's called angiosarcoma. Makes sense, right? We're angiogenic. But there's no standard of care out there right now. The bar in second line standard of care is 5 to 9% response rate. Okay, and PFS, which is progression-free survival, of 3 months. We've seen in our preclinical models factors that are far higher than that. But of course, we're in man right now, and it all comes down to how do we perform in the clinical studies. As I said, this can be because there's no standard of care. We can get orphan designation, and we can go straight from into a phase 2 registrational trial off of 40 patients in our phase 1. Combination therapy is also an option for us because mechanism 3 inflicts the tumor microenvironment to the extent that it looks like a wound. When there's a wound, the tumor ends up heating up, going from a cold tumor to a hot tumor. That is one of the large signaling pathways for the checkpoint inhibitors, which are now $50 billion drugs. They're coming off patent in 2 to 3 years. we can, for both indications that they're approved and indications where they're not approved because they didn't achieve enough response rates or high enough response rate, we can heat up those tumors and enable them to enable those checkpoints to do their jobs. Given they're coming off patent in 3 years, we're buying the product. Both you probably heard of Keytruda and Pembro and others. We're buying that because by the time we finish the clinical trials, we'll be able to have primary patents. And so we'll be very attractive to the large folks who you see on the TV every week advertising Keytruda and others. So other indications that we are exploring in our phase 1 trial, monotherapy, all solid cancers. We expect to identify our recommended phase 2 dose by this winter. Monotherapy angiosarcoma, I just told you that. I'm not going to go through the difference in the mgs per kg here. We can do that in a breakout. But in this indication, we expect some data in first quarter of 2026, all value inflection points. And then what I just told you about combination with checkpoint inhibitors, running a cohort here. Similarly, we expect preliminary, potentially a value inflection, potentially some partnering data in the first quarter of 2026. Okay, here's the value case here. We're currently here clinical. We're in clinical studies, but not proven. These are public comps that are anywhere between 50 and 122 million. We're sitting at 40 million now as a private company. We're doing this top-off financing, and we expect that to help us generate those value inflection points, which I just talked about, and get us somewhere between here and full clinical validation, proof of concept. Okay, and so we expect the next value inflection point off to be in a couple of $100 million range, where we will, across a number of financings, finish up at least 1 or 2 cohorts all the way through to BLA, which is biologic license that you get from the FDA. So people ask, oh, gee, Jeff, that's a lot of money. What's the dilution? Well, if you look at it, it's perhaps 150 million on 3 to 400 million. That's about 30% dilution. But if you're looking at 40 and you're looking at 400 to $1 billion times $1 billion in terms of exit value, then you're actually looking at 1,000 less 30%. So it's still a meaningful potential value inflection point. Leadership team, a lot of who's who in the antibody drug conjugate field. Paul, who couldn't make it today, who's on a parallel board call. But Glenn Weiss, Chief Medical Officer, very deep experience with phase 1 trials, Harvard trained BI. Let me move to manufacturing because this is kind of exciting, and these guys are super, super smart and know what they're doing as well. Morris Rosenberg and Brian Clark, both. You saw those 2 large multi-billion dollar acquisitions. They were the manufacturing folks at those places, Immunomedics, Seattle Genetics, and Immunogen. Hal Dvorak and Shousheng, they've been the 2 folks for the past 22 years who built the patent portfolio and figured out the puzzle that's the basis of our ADC. So I'm hoping you can join us. Like I said at the beginning, raising 15. We've got a term sheet for the 10. We're looking to tuck in 5. You could join us as part of the 5. And the use of proceeds is to get to those inflection points, which I had mentioned, the recommended phase 2 dose, patients, patient data, and obviously phase 1 primary safety endpoints are safety. Primary endpoints are safety, secondary or efficacy. We're looking for both positive preliminary data and robust interim data here. So, and the proceeds will continue to help us expand to these various medical centers. Many of them you probably recognize. So MD Anderson, Houston, Duke, Memorial Sloan Kettering, etc. So that's it. I can it seems like maybe I've got a couple of minutes for some questions. Kat, do you want to
Yeah, that was
conduct the questions or should I just open it up?
yeah. David or Nicole, do you have any thoughts or questions for Jeff?
No, Nicole, I'll go, if you'd like to go first.
Yeah, sure. And sorry, everyone for, by the way, it was in no way, the 10 Capital team did a great job. I, of course, like at, 2:59 got the spinning wheel of death. And so sorry for popping in and out, but, uh, so I am not, so as Three Ventures, we don't necessarily invest in therapies. And so I'm certainly not an expert here, but we do some medical device investing. And I wonder if there's, so let me give you a bit of context and then ask the question. There's when in medical device investing, even if you haven't completed necessarily that first clinical trial, you're often getting feedback from both patients and providers, right? As you're going through it. And so you're getting some sense of the efficacy along the way, even if you don't necessarily have like the full data set to review, right? Is there something analogous here? And if so, can you share like what feedback have you gotten from providers and from patients themselves?
Yeah, so the feedback is we continue to have investigators want to enroll patients and continue to have sites that want to sign up. As you could see, those bunch of sites. Running sites, as you would imagine, takes money, and so we have to raise the money first. And then in your question in terms of let's get down to the scientific side. So this is our dose escalation. Let me get this survey off. It's in the middle of my screen. So this is dose escalation. So we have been dosing, and the purpose of this is to test various levels, very different from devices, which I also run a device company and started one. That's so I understand that different space as well. But here we have to test various levels before we can escalate. It's called dose escalation to make sure the product is safe. And along the way, what we've seen, because 2 mg per kg on a monotherapy really isn't gonna achieve efficacy. We've seen progression, but we see blood labs and we see the scans. And so what you want to do is what we're doing is digging into those blood labs and we're understanding exactly what's happened biologically to those tumors. And what we're seeing is really good on tumor effect, tumor lyses, which will cause certain elements of the blood labs to be raised. And we're seeing that. So we're very excited about it. And listen, the FDA is too, because we're able to climb this dose escalation without being stopped or anything like that. And people want to test it. We've gotten the feedback to test it in the combination. That feedback came from the field. And then we tested it with the combination and found out, listen, we've got really good data in our preclinical, assay work on combination. So we're heading down that road. We just did an amendment to our protocol recently to allow that. So we're pretty excited. So, so between the blood labs, we're seeing the biology at work. Eventually there's a lag time between the biology and the eventual tumor effect. But our belief is that between 4.5 and 6.7, we'll see monotherapy efficacy. Here at 3 mg per kg, we can combine it with Pembro and Ipi, and we believe we'll have some efficacious results. Nicole.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Jeff, we have a few questions from the audience. Douglas has asked, he wasn't sure if he had caught that, whether or not this was tested on humans or if it's just on mice at this point.
Yeah, so we've done mice, primates, and we're in humans now. So this is a depiction of our phase 1 trial. So which means we're in humans. And we've so far dosed, we've had 17 patients in our trial. We continue with 3 patients right now. Some of them at the lower doses, which we hypothesized were not going to be efficacious. Well, they came off trial for progression, but as I just told Nicole, we saw the blood labs and we're very excited about it. So we're continuing to climb this dose escalation, but we also want to explore these other avenues, a single cohort with angiogenesis, angiosarcoma patients, and combination arms. So that's why we're raising money, and hopefully that's why we got the term sheet.
Great. And they have one last question.
Sure.
What is the minimum investment amount you are looking for with the top up financing to reach your 5 million? And can you restate what valuation that is being applied against?
Sure. So the term sheet came in at a 30 million pre. So that's and that's going to the board now. And minimum size to invest side by side. I mean, we really kind of target a $50,000 level. If you're a physician and yeah, that's we have some flexibility, but that's really what we're targeting is at least 50,000. We don't have a hard minimum. There are people who are very passionate about oncology and cancer that we just don't want to cut out. We want to let them have them speak network about this as well.
Great. Thanks, Jeff. David, did you have something?
Yeah, Kat, I did have a quick question. I was just wondering, Jeff, first of all, great presentation. Like Nicole, I don't have that type of a knowledge or experience in this medical field, but I did have a question on the company's been around for quite a while. How has it been funded so far?
So the company's been funded with $70 million to date. There are some institutional investors. Early day investors included the Teal family of funds and a couple other smaller venture capital firms. The company did hit a snag during COVID. One of its manufacturing batches was botched, got tainted. And because of that, the FDA shut down the manufacturing testing, and that put the company at about a 9 months to a year behind schedule and millions of dollars behind. And so the company had to do a subsequent round. It ended up recapitalizing, and that round was a down round because of the delay. So that's the difference between that 70 million all in capital versus the 30 to 40, which is where we are right now and on this term sheet.
Yeah, and I don't know how much more time we have left with you, but just real quick on the use of funds, the 15 million. What was your expectation of that use, the funds use? Where would you be seeing most of it?
Yeah, 85 to as a CFO. So I love that question. So as a CFO, 85% to 90% is going right into the clinical trial. We are going to continue to run this pretty lean. If we get the results that we're hoping for, we will start spending a little bit more money on corporate infrastructure, including getting ready to access the public markets for maybe part of that 150 that I described to you. But public markets, you can get ready for them, but they're not always open for you. So, with good data, will be very attractive to corporate venture, regular venture, growth equity, and others. We were built on retail, so we certainly honor and appreciate that channel as well.
I know this is an investment call and you're looking for funds, but I just want to let you know that this is really critical stuff, I'm sure. And I wish you the best in getting this to reality. Seems like it would be a really important thing to have.
Thank you. We are very passionate about it. Most of us are working based on the passion and being part of something that could be greater than all of us.
Great. Thank you for that, Jeff,
Yeah.
and thank you for the questions, David, Douglas, Nicole, for the feedback. Douglas had one more question, but unfortunately, we're all out of time for this pitch. Douglas, if you don't mind waiting for the breakout rooms, Jeff will be available then. We're going to circle back and go ahead and introduce Nicole Bentz, who was unable to join us from the beginning. But Nicole, do you want to go ahead and give us a little backstory about what you do at S3VC?
Yes, yeah. So sorry again. So Nicole Bentz, I'm the vice president with S3. We are an early stage venture firm based in Austin, Texas, been investing for the past 20 years. So entry point for us is anywhere between C to Series B, check sizes between 1 to 10 million, initial check sizes, I should say. We have the capacity to do 20 million plus over the life of the company. Primarily investing in B2B software, industry agnostic. We will do a little bit of medical device, some kind of, a little bit of consumer kind of marketplace things. But you can kind of think of our bread and butter being enterprise software. Yeah, excited to be with you all today. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump into the FIntegrate Technology pitch with Chris and Ray.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Let me share my screen. Can you see that?
It is currently loading. There we go. Awesome.
All right, so my name is Chris Bishop. I'm the CEO and co-founder of FIntegrate Technologies. We're a fintech B2B company that's focused on collections and recovery software for banks and credit unions, as well as fraud and dispute management for banks and credit unions. Let's see if I can get this thing to advance here now. All right, I'm having to give this thing from my desktop, so from my laptop, so my screen's kind of messed up there. So our focus, as I said, has really been in automation and integration for banks and credit unions for the last 20 years. We have 3 proprietary software products that today focus on collections and recovery, delinquency, risk management, as well as compliance, and then increasing the funds flow there, and automation, as well as dispute management from intake through resolution and reporting. If you have a dispute for check image or a check dispute, fraudulent check, credit card, debit card, ATM wire, any type of a transactional dispute. And believe it or not, the problem exists because most banks and credit unions today are running maybe 20-year-old software for collections and recovery to try to keep up with regulations and interface with all the systems that are required to collect on a loan or a delinquent account or a bad debt. It's even worse in the dispute management segment because the banks and credit unions, for the most part, a lot of them are using spreadsheets for tracking disputes. We have a $20 billion bank in Birmingham, Alabama, that was tracking 1,400 disputes a month in a spreadsheet. Of course, the auditors, the regulators, and the CFPB say that's not sufficient, right? You need an actual system for posting your provisional credits and tracking, and a system of record, not just a spreadsheet. So we have 3 applications. The Fusion CRS is for collections and recovery software. That's from pre-delinquency risk scoring, where we can actually predict with a degree of accuracy who's going to be delinquent on a payment before they're delinquent based on their past spending transactions and their history, all the way through to post-charge-off asset recovery and accounting. So we have a separate shadow accounting system built into Fusion CRS that works with the banks and credit unions and the regulatory requirements to categorize the funds properly, the expenses properly, so that the bank can reduce their loan loss reserves for next quarter, but also it helps them really to plan and see a better view of their financials. Our process and our automation keeps the bank in compliance from the beginning all the way to the end of the process by automating the letters, the notices that has to go out to the end user. We have click to pay, text to pay. We brought a lot of integration and deep core functions to the product whenever we integrated with it. So Fusion DMS again is dispute management from intake through resolution and reporting for any type of transactional dispute. And then our last one, Fusion LRS, is really a version 3.0 of a company and products we've had years past. And the focus there is really on the data analytics and the data conversion. If a bank is going through a merger and acquisition or going through a core system change, we've spent 20 years building access and integration to all the different systems that many of these banking companies use out there for mergers and acquisitions. So they convert the data using our browser into their new system, or they use it into our system for long-term storage. So, or for long-term access and storage. So really what we want to do now is go to the next generation as moving from access and automation to really more of an AI based and try to make this a touchless process for consumers and for bankers and regulators and auditors from the beginning to the end where possible using AI. That's what our focus is going to be with some of this fun starting at the end of this year and into next year. There's 10,000 banks and credit unions roughly in the country. We have a total addressable market. While we have customers at the $200 billion level, we also have some at the $100 million asset level, right? So we've got some very large super regional banks and some very small credit unions running our products and services, but we really focus on the asset size from about 15, 20 billion down to about 250 million in asset size. There's roughly 5,500 banks in the country and credit unions in that size range. On the left-hand side of the screen, you can see an example of some of our customers today in both banks and credit unions. In the center, we're up to a little over 100 customers now. So in 3 years, we've proven the products, we've proven our processes, and we have over 100 customers. On the right-hand side of the screen is the largest core banking software providers in the U.S. A couple of these have bought companies from me in the past, being the data conversion company I mentioned. And none of these companies have a product or a service that mimics our collections and recovery product or our dispute management product. So it's really good in considering the economic environment and the headwinds we have there. The fact that none of these companies have a product like that to speak of, that there might be an acquisition possibility there. Our management team has been together with me for the last many in the last 3 companies, if not 4 companies that I've started. I've had 4 companies in this space previously that I bootstrapped and grew and sold to either a public company or a large private equity firm. So my co-founder, Jason Alfano, is a CTO. He's been with me the last 2 companies. And I actually purchased from Terry the Fusion CRS product about 3.5 years ago. And we brought that to the market and brought our integration, deep integration and experience into that product to give it more of an updated flavor and to add things like texting and click to pay and customer outreach and that type of analytics. Just a little note there on some of the previous acquisitions, kind of the spaces they played in, who acquired them, and where we are today with our revenues. Ray, I'll let you take it from there.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
So I'm Ray Martin, and I'm an investor in the company. I'm not part of the management team. I was one of the original founding investors in the company, and have been working with Chris to help him do this fundraise. But as you can see here, revenues have grown nicely. We've got some pretty aggressive revenues for the future. I think the reason we believe that we can hit those numbers is that we've got a pretty big addressable market in front of us. And with this capital raise and probably a Series A in the next 12 months or so, we think we can hit these numbers and really go after them aggressively, really go after the market aggressively. Next slide, Chris. So the offering is we're doing $1 million note. We've got a valuation cap of 12 million, pretty standard terms, discount 20%, post-money valuation, 3-year term, 7% interest, and minimum investment of 25. Use of proceeds. Most of this is going to sales staff and marketing, again, oriented towards going after the addressable market. We've got some money slotted for software development. And also a lot of that working capital, we expect to have that go to sales staff as well. So we're really going after the sales side of things. In terms of exit scenarios, with bank tech software companies, you really got to get to that $3 to $5 million range in ARR revenues, and that's when you can really get some decent multiples, kind of in the 8 to 12 range, even higher. And so that's really our goal, is to get up to that minimum of 3 and up to 5 million in ARR. But I just did a couple of examples here at lower multiples, 5 and 8, and the IRR for the investors coming in is still pretty strong. In terms of the M&A market, it's always strong in fintech, bank tech. Because there's a lot of people who want to buy companies, and we've been contacted already by most of these categories, but we're just not ready to sell. We've got a few more years left. So in terms of just summarizing, we've got really good revenue growth. proven software. So, we've got product fit, we got customers that are using it, they're happy. All across that spectrum that we showed you of addressable market. Management, very, very good at keeping control of the dollars. They've done bootstraps before. You know how difficult that is, especially in the software business. And we've got a big addressable market. Management's got cash invested, and we have friends invested as well, and very strong exit prospects. And one other thing, just to kind of make note of, is that we've raised 170 from additional friends and family of this $1 million round. We've raised 170, and then we have a $700,000 commitment from another angel network. So we're kind of in the 870 range out of the million. We decided to bump it up to 1.3 million. So there's about 430,000 or so left in terms of room in this. So if you're interested, there's plenty of room to get into the investment.
That's a good point. I forgot to mention, Ray, we did go to hard contracts earlier this week with the Baylor Angel Network and our folks in Texas for that.
Yeah, so we expect to have the wires coming in shortly. Contracts are out, and we expect to have the wires come in shortly.
All right. Any questions?
Question, Chris or Ray. Great job. Looks really great. I love seeing businesses that grow from Excel.
That's right. It's a great market, right? When you go out there and you can take over Excel.
Exactly. But I did have a question on the product services. You mentioned product services. Is there a revenue split between those, and what would that be?
Products and services. So today, all the contracts are written to be a SaaS contract,
Okay.
right? The original CRS contracts from the company that I acquired, those are more software and maintenance at the time. So we've in the process of shipping that over to a full-blown SaaS. But there will be professional services because those contracts, they're all 5-7 year contracts, but those require professional services a lot of times on the startup. So there'll be a small component, probably 20% or more. That'll be professional services.
And as far as partnerships, what's the plan or channel of are you looking for a sales channel, or are you looking for direct sales? How do you see that?
We're going to add both, but we've got a real need for a business development manager and partnerships, right? Because we know all these companies, the executives of these companies. I call personally before I bought the first collection recovery product, just to ask, their CEO or their president why they didn't have these products. So they're on board with referring business to us today, but we really need someone in there working those accounts and really helping them drive more business.
Hey, Chris, just could you go back to that addressable market? Because I think that's a really important point. Slide just to amplify that a little bit. If you look at the different tiers that we're going to go after, and the number of clients, you can't really, for a small company, you can't really cover 5,000 companies with direct sales. So we really see partnership sales driving a lot of the growth, especially in the later years, in that tier 3 and even the tier 4, the under 100 million. That's going to be really a key driver to revenue growth, because there's so much we can do in direct, and we've got to find the right partners to do that. If you look at that spectrum of possible acquirers, those are the same businesses that we would go after to be a partner, a referral partner. And there's a lot of those businesses out there who have established sales, and they penetrate these markets, and we can work with them. And let me say one other thing is I think it's really important. CRS, almost all banks have a credit management system out there, and they're on like a 3, 5, or 7 year contract. So we have to kind of work with them as they roll off of that and adopt ours. The dispute side, we're competing against some very inefficient manual inside the bank. That's an open field for us. So we really want to it's a good question, because we really want to get the partnership thing going and capture as much market share as we can in that DMS area.
Thank you.
First of all, good job. Really appreciate you guys presenting. I've got a couple questions for you. Number one, curious what the pricing model is, kind of what your typical ACV is. And to David's point, usually when you're getting people out of Excel and getting them onto more valuable tasks, you're providing a lot of value to that customer. And so the root of my question is, I'm wondering if you're really charging for the value that you're delivering, and if not, like, what's the path to get there?
So I think for the collection and recovery software piece of it that's been in the market for like 10 years, we've got a pretty good handle on the value that's driven there, because we are replacing an incumbent in most cases. Although we did have a $250 million bank just this week that was using manual processes for all collections and recovery. So it never ceases to amaze me. But there's always the opportunity, right? As we interface to more third parties for data feeds and data analytics and that type of thing, to drive more revenue and more integration and analytics revenue there. The DMS product's been in the market about 18 months for dispute management. So we're not driving the revenue there that I think that of the value it brings. But we've kind of got to grow into that, right? We kind of got our feet under us now. We've got 25 or 30 customers running the system in the last 18 months. And now we're going back for the case studies and the financials and to really put some numbers. What we've heard so far is our product has saved them 80% over the manual process just in time. So,
Yeah, and in addition to that, it's really we talk about this. We probably need to talk about it more, but it's still an early stage company. The besides saving operations costs which is really people costs for the banks, we have time is up. Okay.
you're being hooked.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I like the Oscar music.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about it offline.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you both so much for your presentation. Just a reminder, we will have breakout rooms after this, so you will be able to ask any additional questions that you have for any of these companies pitching. Next, we have Avergy. Francisco. We can see your screen now.
Video and audio too? Okay.
Yes, we can hear your audio and your presentation is ready to go.
Perfect. So, well, every minute over 70 airplanes take off, leaving a trail of carbon in their wake. Aviation is one of the hardest sectors to decarbonize, and yet it amounts for more than 2% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. But what if flying could continue to connect us without having to cost the Earth? At Avergy, we're working to turn this vision into reality. So the challenge is clear. Aviation is set to double its emissions by 2050 if nothing changes. And while technical developments and operational efficiencies will help, these changes take decades to scale. Sustainable aviation fuel, or SAF, is the one tool that can be deployed today and will be the most effective strategy to achieve the net zero goal by 2050 that the aviation industry has set. But what is SAF? SAF is a non-fossil fuel that can be used in current aircraft without any modification and offers up to a 90% reduction in net carbon emissions. And it's not only that, it's a proven technology. It has already been used by more than 800,000 flights. And with major airlines are committing now to using SAF with growing targets over the next 2 decades. So the market is ready, yet the production can only supply today 0.5% of the total fuel needs. So in the US, the market is expected to grow, reaching 3 billion gallons of SAF by 2030, creating a market of $22 billion. And this will continue to grow at more than 7% for over the next 2 decades. So the challenge is scaling up the production. And there are many barriers for this, including policy uncertainty, technology risks, limited sustainable feedstock, and high SAF cost. Avergy tackles these barriers with a cost-effective regional model based on abundant local feedstock, proven technology, which is designed to scale. So going to the technology, we're integrating best-in-class technology to transform woody biomass into a high-quality SAF through a pathway known as gasification Fischer-Tropsch. So if we go into the diagram, I'll quickly walk you through it. And we start with raw biomass, which is then torrefied into a coal-like material and pulverized to be injected into a gasifier, where it's turned into a syngas. The syngas is then cleaned of every contaminant and fed into a Fischer-Tropsch system, where it's transformed into a syncrude, which will later be upgraded into the sustainable the SAF, the sustainable fuel. So now we're partnering with GTA Energy to run a pilot test starting October that will allow us to test all the feedstock preprocessing, so starting from the raw biomass, going all the way to the syngas coming out of the gasifier. And as a next step, we have also partnered with GTA Energy and Velocis to apply to a DOE grant that will help us develop a demonstration scale plant, fully integrating all the process. Avergy sets itself apart by combining abundant sustainable feedstock with proven technology. While most other companies today are using scarce foodling resources, such as the used cooking oil used by the HEFA pathway, Avergy will use woody residues, which is a non-food and non-deforestation-inducing material, paired with ASTM-approved technologies to produce SAF. And this approach allows us to reach a certifiable, scalable SAF output while maintaining a strong, while using a strong feedstock availability and getting a high carbon reduction of over 90%, all while maintaining a competitive production cost. And not only that, this pathway can later evolve towards power to liquid once the green hydrogen becomes economically feasible. All this is being built by a team of experts in aviation, energy, engineering, and project management. While the founding team brings a deep experience in aviation strategy, Project Director Brent Napton offers over 30 years in energy and project management, and Technical Advisor Bruno Canteni brings deep expertise in gasification and renewable fuels. So why now? Global policy momentum is accelerating, and Avergy is positioned to capitalize. So governments around the world are enacting mandates, incentives, and carbon reduction targets for the aviation industry. In the US, there are federal tax incentives that have recently been extended to 2029, and there are also several state tax incentives. Meanwhile, in the EU, there are binding mandates ramping up to 70% SAF usage by 2050. So, as policy tailwinds grow stronger, Avergy's scalable and low-carbon SAF pathway is being built for compliance. So in our first year, we have laid the groundwork to build a SAF business by addressing key risks. We started with a sound strategy, using local sustainable feedstock, a proven technology pathway, while building integration expertise through a demo plant, and being also future-ready, with the ability to evolve into eSAF and methanol production. At the same time, we have seen early traction, with support from major Latin American airlines flying into the US, while maintaining talks with other US airlines. We have had advanced conversations with partners across feedstock technology and technical know-how, all aligned to support the scale-up. And most importantly, we've assembled a strong team of a cross-disciplinary team with deep experience in aviation, energy, and project execution. So we built a clear roadmap, which will start with the demo plant that will be ready by 2027, allowing us to de-risk the integration for the commercial scale plants, while giving us the opportunity to provide SAF to our customers. Then we will move into our first commercial size plant, which will be ready by 2030 with a capacity of 10 million gallons a year. By 2034, with a second plant in place, we target to reach 5% of the $7.5 billion US South SAF market. That's a lot. It's a lot of words, but it's basically, yes, the US South market is it's bound to be around $8 billion by 2034. So SAF provides a high growth and high margin market, which becomes very attractive. And Avergy expects its initial revenues by 2027 with the demo plant, while reaching positive cash flow only after the commercial plant in 2030. These early milestones we're setting, like the demo validation, some feedstock agreements, and the airline offtake agreements, are all being built to de-risk execution while generating meaningful value for subsequent funding rounds, supporting a projected IRR of 47%. And the returns are not only financial. In its first 10 years, Avergy is set to reduce the carbon emissions for the equivalent of 10,000 long-haul flights from New York to London, or the amount of carbon absorbed by 18 million tree seedlings grown for 10 years. So now we're looking for seed investment to support these next milestones. And the seed investment is being divided into two tranches, offering first movers a financial incentive. So for the first tranche, we're looking for $650,000 on safe notes based on a pre-money value of $6 million. These funds will be used to advance the pre-FEED engineering and plan location studies. So, in summary, aviation urgently needs SAF, and Avergy has a scalable solution based on proven technology and local sustainable feedstock. And also, we have put in place the right team to make this happen. Well, thank you.
Great. Looks like we have some time for questions. If we have any questions from the audience, please feel free to drop them inside of the chat. David or Nicole, do either of you have any questions for Francisco at Avergy?
Yeah,
Nicole,
I'm happy.
you want to go? Go ahead.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, happy to go first. Yeah, Francisco, great job. Thanks for presenting today. A little out of my skis here since I'm mostly a software investor, so apologies if this is a a stupid question, but I don't really, I guess, quite understand like the stair step in terms of commercialization. So on the revenue side, which was helpful in terms of like, it looks like 600K this year and then 1.2 for the next 2 years. Like help us understand, I guess, and then the real inflection point being in 2030. Help us understand, I guess, like how you get to that inflection point and how much of that is driven off, like, you know, are you getting pre-orders effectively before you get to that point, and then that way you're like, that's like when you get visibility into the 2030 number is maybe a better way to answer the question or ask the question.
No, that's a great question. Thank you. So yes, the numbers are taken. So the 0.6, 1.2 actually, well, 0.6 is half of it because the demo plant won't be able to produce until around midway through 2027. So it's just half a year. But the most important scale-ups are with each plant. So each plant has a certain capacity with some backups in case, I mean, of course, this industrial processes always need to have several backups, but it's so the big steps are with each plant. So the demo plant will allow us to have some revenue, but it will be at a loss. That's why we don't reach positive cash flow. So it's based so that in seeing it as a tech is more as an sort of MVP. It's not I mean, it's just to prove all the value chain.
Sure.
And to de-risk at a much lower cost all the integration that we'll have to do for a bigger plant. But until you don't go into a commercial size plant, you can't actually be earning money. And so then, well, with the
if I'm hearing you correctly, you have to make that CapEx investment like first, really, before you can even.
So right. So going to what you were talking about, how we foresee this money, the income or the revenue. So the industry are signing offtake agreements. For that, first we need to reach to a point where we have certain, much more precision on the cost itself. So that would be after some of the pre-feed engineering that we were talking, and maybe even the feed engineering. And also the actual carbon reduction. So that has to be measured and validated for airlines to start signing these offtake agreements. But there's a lot of support from the industry, both from airlines and from other companies tapping into the scope 3 emissions through them. No?
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Hi, Francisco. Pleasure to meet you. Do have a couple questions. One, I think you just said it. The actual customer here and customers are the airlines. Is that correct?
Right. So we're talking directly with the airlines. Yes. So that,
Okay.
depending, the airlines are many times bringing corporate partners as part of it, but yes, it's mostly airlines.
Okay. There's no, like other types of fuel services out there. Are there? I'm not familiar with the airline industry from fuel. The way they buy fuel. But are there distribution partnerships or ways in which you have to partner up with other fuels to do the right mixture? How does that? I'm just curious as to how it gets to the end product.
Yes. So, Maria, maybe you want to take this, a bit more. But yes,
Sure.
There is. Oh, if you want to jump.
Yeah, thanks. Usually the airlines for the conventional jet fuel, the airlines talk with the oil companies, but there is a distributor at each airport. So you can be buying from an oil company, and then the one is like the gas station on the airport is just delivering and they're charging for the service. The same here, they can buy from you the SAF, then you get an agreement to blend it with the other jet fuel producer. You blend it at the oil refinery or at the fuel station, and then it gets I'm sorry, through the delivery, conventional delivery system.
So the location that you're talking about for your plant or plants are pretty strategic, correct?
Right. So yes, first of all, it needs to be very close to the feedstock. The conversion from feedstock to fuel is around 4:1. So the less you need feedstock, the less distance you need to transport the feedstock, the better operationally it works. But also, yes, you need to be close to airports, close to ports, if not. That's why one of the key areas that we've been looking at is the Northeast Texas, where you have the woods, you have the airports, Houston, Dallas, and you have access also to main, distribution facilities and everything around the area. But there are other areas that could work too.
So I'm assuming the airlines, they have, I don't know what you would call it, but if you look at it from the perspective of their future and what they're investing in and such, I'm sure they have those types of groups within their organization. Have you talked to any of those as far as what the appetite is for this type of a product?
Yes. Yes. We've talked with several airlines and with these groups within them. And the appetite is big. The biggest concern is price. So today the price of SAF is a lot higher than conventional jet fuel. It's being reduced, but it's a slow process and it won't be done overnight. That's why policy incentives are so important, and then we have all these tax incentives, so the EU mandates that I was mentioning. So that's on one side, and also to level competition, because this sooner or later will impact the ticket prices and the customers. At least business customers are different, especially if it taps into their scope 3 emissions. But regular customers don't want to be paying anymore for tickets, and it varies from place to place. But aviation in general is a very price sensitive industry. So yes, that's a big concern of them. So they're trying to invest in different businesses and getting these offtake agreements, but at the same time being very cautious about what they commit to do.
So one more question. As far as your value proposition and what you're bringing to the table, is it more efficiency in getting this stuff? Or I think I pronounced
Right. It's a process that so both gasification and filter tops are proven technologies, but they're being used in combination. There has been tests mostly in Europe. It's a bit more advanced, but it's not something that's being used today, especially in the US. I mean, the US, there are two plants that are actually running commercially today, and they're both on the HEFA pathway that's based on used cooking oils. There are a couple others that are based on ethanol, and most of them, the feedstock is being imported. The used cooking oil mainly from China, the ethanol many times from Brazil or South America. Those are starting not by 2027, they will stop being supported by the tax incentives. The feedstock needs to be from Canada, US, or Mexico. So it's a problem they will have. But well, yes, what we're trying to do, be strategic about using feedstock that we can get here, and using also waste. I mean, we don't want to be competing with the food industry for resources, nor being using deforestation, of course, which wouldn't lose all day. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, awesome. So with that being said, thank you for your pitch, Francisco. We're going to go ahead and move on with the Buddi team.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Layla, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Buddi. Thank you for your time today. Imagine if you could take the $137 billion a year pet industry and match it up with the fastest growing segment of entertainment and media, which is niche streaming. You would have Buddi. So Buddi is a specialty streaming app that is built for the Gen Z and millennial pet parent. These are pet obsessed folks. It's available in 90% of homes today. It's available on your laptop, on your phone, and all of your smart TVs. We feature bingeable and commercial-free pet-centric content for your family. It's creator-made content. That's really, really important. So these are not, these are intentionally creators and influencers that have mass followings that are creating content for us for the platform exclusively. We also have movies, series, educational programs, and documentaries with health features, which is really a top of the mind for all the pet-centric folks. Buddi will reach profitability at 75,000 subscribers. That's very important to you, the investor. That is a low number. And it's very affordable for the consumer at $7.99 a month or $79.99 a year. Now, I want you to meet Sonia. Sonia is our target audience. She is a mom. She's a 33-year-old mom. She's got a daughter, 2 beagles, and a husband. And she watches her pet content on her phone because when she watches stuff on her TV and her little is in the room, she may or may not be exposed to different things that she doesn't want her to see. So on something like a YouTube, which is actually pretty expensive for her budget at $13.99, her daughter may see commercials or content that she's not comfortable with her seeing, so she keeps it on her phone. And she feels a little bit guilty because she's spending $13.99 a month and she's the only one that gets to enjoy it. And that's where Buddi enters the chat. So Buddi is an affordable, family-friendly option for someone like Sonia and her family. So she's subscribing at $7.99 a month. She watches Buddi with the whole family. So she can put her daughter in front of it to watch cartoons or educational all by herself. She can also watch shows with her husband and her daughter and her 2 beagles. By the way, the daughter's favorite show is Pick a Puppy because guess what? 2 dogs aren't enough. She wants yet another one, and that show helps her get her mom on the side of getting yet another dog. And then with her husband, she gets to watch fun shows like Puppy Love, which is a dating show where you get to meet the dogs and pick your date based on the pets. So it's got something for everyone and still family friendly. They can still watch their classics and get all the information, education that they want. Now, when you're looking at competitive positioning, Buddi fills a special hole. There is a few others doing this. One of my favorites to talk about is Dog TV. So Dog TV is actually for your dog. So if you'd like to watch a bunch of cats run around in a circle, that might be the channel for you at $9.99 a month. They have 400,000 subscribers. And again, that is only for their dogs to watch. There are 2 other channels that are currently doing close to what we do, but not really. And that's Love Pets and Bark TV. That's a fast channel. So really it is for pet people and it is niche down, but it is very, very linear. So think about cable in the past. You have to watch whatever they're showing at the time they're showing it. You have to endure the commercials and they don't have original programming. So we are filling a different space. The total addressable market for this is the 87 million pet owners. So that we've taken and we've actually brought it down. So we've combined it with who are the people that are pet obsessed, but that also are already streaming. That's a $61 million total addressable market. Now we've niched it down even further for this first part of our journey, and that is pet parents who are already streaming this very unique content with influencers and creators. That's a $5.5 million addressable audience. What have we been doing since we launched in 2024? Well, we've done quite a few things, but some of the things we are proud of is we have actually launched 4 original series. So we've got original programming already, some with us and some with influencers. We have identified a media partner called Media Plus. This is the agency that took BritBox, which is another streamer which specializes in British programming. They went from 0 to 500,000 subscribers in less than 2 years with Media Plus. They've identified our market. We've already got a marketing strategy and plan in place. We're just waiting for the seed investment to hit go. We've also identified the future creators for the future content and original programming for this next level of streaming. We are going to highlight our passionate. We have very sticky, passionate followers and subscribers. So we're on all of the socials because you have to be in this day and age, but want to draw attention to our TikTok page. I do have a cat named Buddi. So I'm actually a cat mom of 4. All of the folks that you're going to meet today are all passionate pet people, which is how we got here. And wanted to note here that we are all growing organically, and we're already monetizing this page. So this has actually been a really successful page for us. So some of our consumer metrics, again, early days, grassroots marketing only. We have a 1,918% increase in subscribers year over year. We've got an annual retention rate of 100% and a monthly retention rate of 99.6. And when we do events, which is where we generally get our subscribers, we're signing up about 25 people per day. So the 3 acquisition channels we are going for with this raise. We have the targeted and refined digital marketing campaign that we have worked with Media Plus. So that's going to use things like Meta, YouTube, Amazon ads, etc. We will put that into place. Also the influencer and creator campaign. So if you really think about the influencers, it's not just about them bringing the content, but it's really going to be about bringing their followers. So these folks have hundreds of thousands, in some cases, millions of followers that they will bring to the platform as subscribers to watch this content that is exclusive to Buddi. And additionally, we're building partnerships with existing subscription-based pet models. So think the private dog parks. I don't know if you know that they have those, but they do. People pay lots and lots of money every single month to take their dog to a bougie private dog park with thousands of subscribers. So we're working with some of those groups to have us be a bundle. People that are already subscribing to things have a much greater tendency to check a couple more boxes and subscribe to more things. And we're also talking to folks that have the subscription box models. So think BarkBox, Cat Lady Box. There's several subscription boxes. We are talking to them as well as part of a bundling strategy. The team that is bringing this to you is myself, Ryan and Nathan. I will introduce them in a minute. Important to know here that the people on this page have multiple successful exit strategies from independent and entrepreneurial businesses and also public market IPOs. I've done 2 of those, well over $4 billion at this point with the group, the people on this group. I have a strong marketing and customer segmentation background. I understand messaging and how to get customers sticky and the visionary for this platform. My husband, Ryan, and I have actually invested in this over $1 million at this point. And my husband is the COO of this business. And so he is he's been successful at leading multiple media companies and taking them from startup to a successful, profitable exit. And he is a strategic executor and really in charge of operations and execution. And then we have Nathan here, Nathan Fletcher. So he is part of the senior team at Great American Family and Ride TV, successfully exited Ride TV to an over $150 million exit. He has 3 decades of relationships and networks in the production and content space. And that rounds out our team. So what's next? So we are really looking at a lot of different things. The things I'm the most excited about here are really the e-commerce treats and tie-ins. Every single original program that we have will be shoppable and will be an additional incremental revenue stream. So think about every time you watch any of these shows that are giving you tips and tricks for your pets, everything in that will be shoppable through the QR code on the screen. There'll also be merchandising opportunities and other partnerships with other production people. We will also have tapping into AI, helping with all of our educational programming, merchandising, and then opportunities for live events and additional programming. Potential exit strategies for this business. So we talked a little bit about the media companies and how niche streaming is really the segment that's growing. It's not unnoticed by the larger media companies. So an acquisition by a major media company could be a potential exit. If you're familiar with Crunchyroll, that is an anime-based, again, that's another super, super passionate group of folks. Crunchyroll was sold to Sony in 2020 for 1.2 billion. There's also, there's multiple streamers out there, but there's something out there called Shudder. That's a horror streamer that was sold to AMC for hundreds of millions of dollars just a few years ago. So that's a potential exit. There's also potentially an opportunity to be acquired by a major pet brand. Think Chewy or PetSmart, Petco. They could be looking to diversify, add more things to their catalog. That could be a potential exit. We can merge with Bark TV or Dog TV. You never know. And then there's also a potential management buyout or public exit. So why are we winners? Well, we are combining cultural timing, category insight, a truly sticky and passionate group, and we are operationally ready to do this. We are ready to go with grassroots traction, 100% retention of our current base, and we are really excited that this space is not claimed. This highly passionate and very sticky consumer has not been claimed. The transaction we are here for today is a seed raise. We're looking to raise $500,000 in a limited seed round with a convertible note. The value cap is 10 million, discount rate is 15%, and the interest rate is between 4 and 6%. Use of funds here, I think you can tell, is really going to be a content play, a marketing play, and a sales play. We need to get shake some trees and get some people subscribed and get some content on the platform and really let people know very loudly that we are here. This is our trajectory. What I will say here is we are expecting to be cash flow positive in 22 months, and we will be also going out for an additional raise next year and the next 12 months for a Series A raise, but we see profitability in 22 months. We are excited to be talking to you. We hope you're excited to talk to us. We'd love to be part of the journey, and I'm happy to take any questions. Nathan and Ryan are also here for questions, so I'm happy to take any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Layla. David or Nicole, do either of you have any questions for Layla?
I'm happy to start first.
Great.
Yeah, Layla, Ryan, and Nathan, thanks for presenting today. Great job. I am very quickly after this going to make sure that my 2.5-year-old cannot download Buddi because he would love to watch the TOG videos all day long. So I got a couple questions for you. Maybe the first one just being like a true clarifying question. So this is 100% user generated content, or are you buying any like?
No, so currently we license content. It is not user generated, and we have originals that we have created, and we've had some influencers create. So, and then we want to expand that with influencers and with maybe some additional licensed content, gradually tapering that off so we have only originals. Okay, that's helpful. And then what's the gross margin profile of the business? And, you talked about a little bit of the programming costs and streaming costs. Can you walk us through what that looks like, both today and then kind of at scale? Sure. Nathan, do you want to field this one?
Yeah, sure. So, generally operating costs, down the road, what we're seeing is that, when we're making, say, 16 million in revenue, the gross profit on that is around 13 million. So there's the bulk of the expenses are going to go into, of course, programming and marketing. That's really going to be where the what drives the growth and drives the experience, feeding both of those beasts as we go.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yes, my question was in the area of the size of the market. You said $60 million. Is that the TAM? That's TAM,
60 million people. 60 million people.
People.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, that changes the size of the.
I may have said dollars I didn't mean that. 60 million people.
Okay.
Is the total addressable market. It's 137. The pet space is $137 billion annually.
Okay. Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, because the follow-up questions were going to be more around the area of what's your market expansion capabilities and things like that. But 137 billion, I mean, I don't know where else you'd want to go.
That would be it. If I could get a small portion of that, we'd be thrilled.
Oh, that's
And
terrific.
we will.
Yeah. And then the media side, there's a lot of technology out there. Especially on the streaming side. How are you incorporating that? And is that part of these funds, or is that something that you see partnering with? How do you see that? How do you see this technology support and services?
David, so right now we're on a third-party platform for streaming, but we have built into our model building our own streaming service. And what's nice about this third-party platform is people can upload their own things to it. It's starting to work in some developments of AI, what have you. But this is where we really want to build our own platform because we want to make those episodes shoppable. We want to have AI be an integral part. So when you're signing up, you're putting in your dog, you're putting in your cat, you're telling us their health needs. So boom, it's consistently feeding up those things to you, right? And making that making
personable.
it really personable and making it really even more sticky. So people are consistently going back to that app.
I understand.
And just to add a cap on that, so the biggest challenge when you're building a streaming app is getting in all the app stores, and it's a process, right?
Yeah.
So for us, we've already done that. We've got the Buddi app in 91% of all the streaming apps, all the big ones, Samsung, Apple. So we're Roku, we're already there. So now it's just a matter of going to market.
Adoption. Yeah, gotcha. Okay, well, thank you.